Istanbul, you know it as the capital of Turkey, a city with a population of about 16 million people. How does such a populous city transport its rather large population? Some people use the train that allows them to travel between the European and Asian side of the city, while others may use a tram if they're travelling a smaller distance. It's fair to say that the city has a lot of transportation options. But did you know it has one of the most unique modes of transport I've ever seen? In today's video, I'll be travelling on the F1, aka the Underground Funicular. I'm starting my journey here in Taksim Square, a major tourist area that features a lot of restaurants, shops and hotels. It's definitely an area I would suggest for you to visit. In the distance you can see Taksim Mosque. While it may look old, it was surprisingly built back in 2017. There's nothing else to say, so time to head down into the station. There are entrances scattered around the square, but if you don't want to walk far, then I suggest you use the entrance I'm heading to right now. Taksim station may seem like a large interchange, but it only has a small handful of connections. Most notably, it's served by the M2 line, as well as several buses that take you all over the city, and even has a connection to a heritage tram that I'll be exploring in a later video, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that video. The station was opened in 2000 and features 3 platforms. You may notice that I'm going down several sets of escalators. This is due to the extremely hilly terrain of Istanbul, so most metro stations are very deep down. Before we travel, we have to purchase our Istanbulkart. It's similar to an Oyster card and can be purchased at most metro stations and airports. All you have to do is buy the card and load it up with money. You can keep reloading it with as much lira as you want. The only problem I had with this card is that most machines don't work, but apart from that, it should be pretty easy to use. The machines translate to most languages found in Europe and accept cash and debit cards. I would warn you to be fast, as these machines have a very fast time limit before going back to the home screen.
What's the cost? That? Now we better buy another one. 2.
You have to admit, these cards look really cool.
There's your receipt. Tap it. Okay.
Now here is how you use them. Start by pressing on the card reader. When that blue screen goes green, go through the turnstiles. As you can see, I struggled on my first try.
You try it. No, try this one. Go.
It says X. Push it. The next one.
Go.
Finally, I managed to make it work. A weird feature that most metro stations have is an X-ray machine that aren't used at all, for some reason. And over here is the topic of today's video, the infamous F1. Unfortunately, we only had 1 minute to spare, so I couldn't give a tour of the platform. Now we head down as I explain what makes the F1 so weird. But first, a little history. The F1 is an underground funicular that shuttles between Taksim and Kabatas station. It opened in 2006 as a link between 2 stations that were close, but were hard to get between due to steep hills in the area. Aside from that, there's not a lot of history about this line, so what makes it unique exactly? Well, funiculars are small shuttles that usually link the bottom of a steep hill to the top. Some famous examples include the Aberystwyth Cliff Railway and the Bridgnorth Cliff Railway. All of these funiculars are above ground, however, the F1 is below ground due to the severe steepness of Istanbul. I've ridden funiculars in Spain and France that go through tunnels, but never been on one that stays in a tunnel the entire time. It kinda reminds me of the Waterloo and City line. It's also weird to see a funicular be such an essential part of a large transport network. Usually they're a tourist attraction, but in Istanbul they're just another way to get to work. It's also worth pointing out that the F1 isn't the only line. There are 4 lines that run underground the streets of Istanbul that are all separated from each other. As you see here, we're passing the other funicular, as midway between the 2 stations is a small passing loop, so services can run very frequently and not cause huge crowds to build up. Here we are at Kabatas after a short 2.5 minute ride. You can change here for the T1, boat services and the M7 line. I'll be back later to take a ride back up to Taksim. And now for the return journey. When the service arrives, it opens the doors on one side to let people off, before waiting a couple of seconds to let people back on. Interestingly, the side that boards the train only has platform screen doors, which is very weird. Here is the interior of the cars. They have screens which display ads and a map of the entire transport network above the doors, which is pretty simple if you ask me. There's nothing much else to film, so I think I'll end it here. So now you see what a weird and unique form of transport Istanbul has, that caters to both the locals and the tourists, that shuttles between Kabatas and Taksim stations. If you like what you saw today, then be sure to subscribe and feel free to join my Discord. You can find the link down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.